Abai, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
You're welcome.
I really wanted to get started and learn a little bit more about your story. How did you made it to LA, and how are you able to like work here as a director? You know, it's really hard to break into Hollywood. So, what has been your experience so far?
Oh man, how I made it to LA. I made it to LA. It was negative $500.
Negative 500.
Yeah, I borrowed $500 from somebody, and then I came out here to actually for my birthday. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna stay. So then I borrowed some money, and it's been a grind ever since then.
What year was that?
2016.
So you've been here about 4 years?
6 years.
6 years.
Six
Not
years.
good at math. I'm good with cameras. Not good at math.
On and off for 3, and then 2019 I was like, I got grounded. So
Right.
just back and forth with the hustle and bustle of of LA and pushing you out and having somewhere to sleep, not having somewhere to sleep,
Yeah.
living somewhere.
Yeah, that must be really tough. When I came in 2019, but I completely moved, like, my family, like, I was married, we came with my kids, and it was like, okay. So how did you feel, like, whenever you stayed and then you had to go, did you have to go back home and then come back? Like, how did that feel emotionally, and, like, how did you overcome that? Because it must be really hard. Like, you're coming with a dream, you want to make this happen, and then you have to, like, almost like having a setback and then overcoming that.
Well, I mean, I came with the mindset that this is gonna happen no matter what. There was a lot more to it than just coming here. I came. There was a lot more to it than me just coming here that God partake in. But I just had a mindset that I was gonna do what I needed to do, and I'm just gonna push through. To be honest, so came here, I went back. And I just didn't want to be back in Miami. So it was just like, well, that's where I'm originally from. So I just was like, yeah, there's nothing here for me. I've done 30 years of my life in Miami, and it wasn't hitting. So I was like, I just got to get back to LA. So I'll be in Miami for a week, back to LA, Miami for a couple months, back to LA, trying to just figure stuff out to the point where it was like sometimes I wouldn't even go home. Just sleep in the car for however long it took till I got a place or somewhere to live.
Wow, that must be tough, man. So when were you able to, like, how was the sequence of events for you to be able to feel like, okay, now I'm here, and feel like, okay, I can be here for good? Like, what had to happen? Like, what moves did you pull to, like, get some kind of gig and, like, make things, like, go?
I was what moves did I pull? I mean, I can say I don't even know if I really played them. I was in like kind of a toxic relationship here, and I just had enough of and I was living with the person, and I dropped everything, and I went up to Oakland to stay with my family for a couple months, and then when I went there, I went back to Miami for a couple months, and then I just felt like, I felt like God was calling me to come back to LA, because at that point I was like, you know what, I had reached my peak, but I was just like, okay, I know I gotta go back. I didn't have nowhere to live. I didn't have anything, but I did have like $5,000 that I saved up working in Oakland and Miami. Had an opportunity to actually like get grounded and save money. So I came out here back to LA 2019, and I think it was like late March 2019, and I was staying in a hotel room. And when I was in the hotel room, it's like, okay, cool. I can stay in these hotels and I can work for a little bit and save up like another, like $2,000, so I can have like cushion after I pay, security and whatever else I needed to pay, And I injured my back the first day I was here.
No way.
Yeah.
Like shooting?
No, I was like doing like, I came here and I wasn't even shooting. I was just like, I'm gonna come back to LA. I'm pretty much gonna start over. And then I injured my back. I don't even know what happened. I was in a hotel room. I was picking up the suitcase, and then it just like felt like my back went out.
Damn.
And I fell on the floor. I'm in a hotel room, kind of like an old person by myself. And I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I was like, I need to go to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. They did a checkup. In the middle of the hospital, I got a phone call from a guy that I met like 6 months prior in LA, walking to church. We just met, and he so happened to be from Miami, but I didn't know him or nothing like that. I just met him here in LA, and he was like, "Hey man, I don't know what you're doing, But if you're in LA, like he was in the midst of praying. He was like, I was praying. And God was like, yo, like, you need somewhere to live. And he was like, I got somewhere for you to live, for about a couple months, no problem. Wow. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah. Like, he was like, are you in LA? This was the day after I flew in. And this was the day after I flew in. And I was like, yeah, I actually do need somewhere to live. And I couldn't work because my back was hurting. They gave me some pills. So he was like, yeah, just come by the studio. It happened to be a 6,000 square foot studio. Wow. That he had just opened up. And he was like, yo, yeah, you could just stay here for how long you want. I stayed for a couple months, and then from there, when the couple month period came over, I was like, okay, now I need to get a place. I need to do this, but I didn't want to do Instacart. I didn't want to do that stuff. I still had my money saved up because I was living somewhere for free. I got my health back. I started working out. I lost weight, everything. Because at that point, I was like maybe like close to 250 in weight. Wow. Being with him and just being able to work out, I got down to like 210. Just like, in better shape and everything. Mm-hmm. And he just like, I was in my car and I was just, contemplating, okay, where I'm gonna live. He walked up to the window. We haven't had much conversation outside of just hanging out about where I'm gonna live. He was like, hey, look, man, how about you work for the studio? You run it, you do all the stuff, and I'll pay you and you can live here for free. So we worked something out. Nice. And he was like, I can pay you what you want, and you could pay rent to me, or I can pay you half of what you want, and you can live here for free. And I did that for a year, and that was the starting point, man.
That's awesome, man. I know that was probably one of the hardest things that you have had to do, like going through that process but at the same time, you were so blessed and lucky to find someone that would help you.
Yeah, way. He found me. I didn't find him. I wasn't even thinking about him, but I was blessed to get that opportunity and to have the opportunity to run a studio, a small studio, but the opportunity to run one.
So, what would you recommend? 21-year-old kid that wants to move to LA, live the dream, become like an actor, director, producer. Like, what would you recommend they do to make that happen?
I would recommend them to come out to just move out, preferably have a plan or have some money. But just move out and don't move out distracted.
Don't move out distracted.
Yeah, don't come here distracted. Don't come here for a relationship. If you're already in one, that's cool. But don't come here for a relationship. Don't come here because somebody promised you something. Don't come here thinking you're going to party. If you're going to come to LA, a lot of people do get lucky with like being new here and having that grind spirit, and they get in a lot of doors, and but they lose it after about a year. And then then LA starts to hit them. Yeah. So to do that and then continue to just grind and continue to try to push to keep that momentum up, keep that no matter what's happening, try to keep that momentum. Yeah. There's a lot of people I know now who did that. Who in 2016 when I first came here that I worked with, and they're on TV now. I probably like 10 people I know that were either here a couple months before me, a couple months after me, and they just kept that momentum and kept striding, and they.
Yeah, I think that element of the distraction is huge because there's so much to do, so many opportunities and things that you could be doing here, and so many people and events and concerts and parties and all that. Mm-hmm. For me, it's been interesting. Like I came strictly to like work in film. And I was never like the type of like going out and do that type of stuff. But it was hard to break from the one job that I had over into like directing full time or producing full time. Because when I first came, I started working as a location scout for a TV show at Amazon. And I had amazing opportunity because of the work I did in Atlanta. And then when I came here, I had that straight direct line. Like my first job was location scout for a major TV show with Amazon. Yeah. And that was really like fortunate. But breaking out of that to then be able to go full time to the studio that I work at as a creative producer now, that took a lot of like effort and work. And what has been your experience, or like what do you think has been the key for you to be able to now work full time and what you want to do? And we always want to grow, but at least breaking out of regular jobs and going into actually pursuing your career and doing what you want to do.
I just focus. Focus, no distractions. If somebody or anything is not for you, don't do it. Like I don't even go places that are like people's like, oh, let's go to the club. Like I'll go to somebody's birthday party or something, you know, like if it's a friend or something like that. But if it's not work related or it can't help me in what I'm doing, and I count it as a distraction, you know, like, oh no, this is gonna be a distraction, you know. So I don't do the big parties, I don't do those type of things, and I just stay focused, and I started shooting my own projects and I stopped relying on people for their writing and their other stuff, and you know, that's pretty much how it happened.
So tell me about the film that you completed recently, and that's how you and I connected, because your wife, I knew her from before. I was trying to cast her in a movie. Then she sent me this film that you wrote, produced, directed. How was that experience? Because the film is pretty lengthy. You have a lot of actors. Like it's a hard movie to get made. How was that experience? How did you get that done?
First thing, I was lucky enough to have money to do it. I did some good investments and some money came back, so I was like lucky enough to do that.
How much can you talk about? Like how much overall did you spend on the film?
I think I spent like $10,000.
10,000.
Yeah, I think overall 10,000. The permits cost the most. So, you know, we got a couple breaks that, you know, probably, I don't know if I could talk about those breaks, but the permits cost the most, really. I think the permits ran us like $3,500 with it. And then the insurance was another like, you know, $1,500.
1,500?
Yeah, because I don't know, I got lucky on some guy and it was like a 10-day insurance or whatever. It was like $1,500.
Wow, that's very cheap.
Yeah, and then the truck was like another 2 bands, a 2-ton truck or whatever we had. But the crew worked for free. Some of the cast I paid, some worked for free. Obviously for food and credits and stuff like that. But some people I worked with in the past, so it was just like, you know, we can get on. And do
and the
stuff
film,
like
how long is the film?
It's 21 minutes.
21
it was
minutes.
originally supposed to be like 17, and then it got pushed around. It probably would have been like 25, but then we had to cut some scenes out.
Yeah.
The hardest part about the film was our line producer dropped out 3 days before. She told me I couldn't get it done. She's watching this. She knows who she is. We're still friends, but I got a call 3 days. I think it was actually 2 days before we was about to shoot. She was like, "We need to push it back. We couldn't get done." I was like, "Yo, what are you talking about? I paid for a permit. Like we already paid for the truck. We already did all these certain things. Like, you know, everybody's like, people came from out of town. Like, we can't do this." She was like, "Well, I don't think it's ready. I don't think you're this. And if you do it, then I'm not going to be involved in it." I was like, "Look, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. But we're shooting this film. Like, if we don't shoot this film, I have no opportunity to shoot this film."
Yeah, it's a tricky situation because, like, I understand her point, and I feel like almost every film that I have made, I feel up to the point where I'm shooting it, I feel like there's no way we can pull it off. Even working like on big studio shows, we were always down to the wire. Like, we don't have enough money. We're going to go over budget. We're going to go over schedule. So I can understand like your line producer not feeling like secure, but I guess that's the spirit that you need to have as a filmmaker, where you have to take the risk and just figure it out kind of as you're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, luckily for me, I had experience. You know, I started off in music videos and documentaries, so I had experience actually shooting stuff. So like, it wasn't a big deal, but it still was like, okay, now I have to do the producer's work while I'm trying to focus on directing work. So I had to up somebody. Well, this is the main thing she told me. She said, "Who is on this film?" And I was like, "I can't. What are you talking about?" She's like, "There's nobody on this film."
She means like as the cast,
crew. Like, everybody was pretty much new to like acting or to, you know, to like being in the crew and stuff like that. And she was like, "There's no way you guys can like pull it off," you know. And so like, if you guys are watching this, tell me if I pulled it off if you watched the film.
Well, the film is finished, it's done. So like, you did pull it off.
So she actually kind of challenged me, and I felt disrespected. Like, you like, hold up. So, but I understand there's nobody on this film, but you telling me I can't pull this off? Nah. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to call you back. You know, I'm gonna have to talk to you later. You know, and yeah, that to me that was the most difficult part. managing the cast, all those certain things to me, like this is my passion. This is what I love, So like to me, it just comes natural, So it might sound, I'm not even gonna say that. It just comes natural.
Yeah. So who was involved in the film, like as far as the cast goes, and like, can you tell me a little bit about the experience of working with them?
Oh, experience of working with cast was beautiful. I like Jordan, Jordan Johnson. You have Justin, Paul, Joe, Nick, Paris, my wife, Lee Simpson, Lauren Shea Livingston, Pedro.
Way too many actors. That's why your line producer was like, you can't.
It's way too many. I'm trying to think. It was a couple other people that I think that had a couple roles. Ronnie had a role. I had a one cameo in it, but I didn't have no lines. We had a party scene. It was a lot of actors, but the experience was amazing. We did do a casting process, and it was like, almost down to the wire. Claire was our judge. She probably gonna be like, she's an older lady. She worked on the project with me before this short film that I produced. It was amazing.
How did you get your lead actor, and like how do you decide when you're doing a project? How do you decide, okay, this is the person I'm going to like bet on?
Jordan, I would say all four of my actors were pretty much leads, but because they were pretty much on the screen the same amount of time. So I'll just start with Jordan. Jordan, I already knew him. I felt like he can do the role. He did a project that I produced like a year prior to that. And I loved the way he acted. I loved the way he delivers scripts, the way he memorizes the whole script, the way he takes people, like if somebody goes off script, the way he can bring them back on. So I was just like, I know he can do it. Justin was in the other project as well. And I didn't know what he can actually capable of doing, but when he read for the role, it was like, they were like a match, the two brothers. And they played Eric and Peace in the film. And Joe, the lead cop, is actually between him and a semi-famous actor that actually submitted for the role. And Joe just did an amazing job. He was actually the older officer, the experienced officer in the film. And Nick, I've never seen him act before, but my production coordinator and my DP were good friends with him and said that, he wants to start acting. So I had him read for the role. He took direction well, and I felt like he had the look, and I knew that I can bring what I needed out of him. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm an actress director. I like the DP to do what they do. I do have experience in like shots and everything. I know about the lenses. I know about all that stuff because you had to one-man band, especially when you shoot music videos. Yeah. So, but I really like to work with the actors. So when I got those people, that was that. Same thing with Paris. She read for the role, and I was like, perfect. She had a slightly British accent, and everybody else was pretty much people I knew, and I knew they acted, and I was like, I know they can do what I needed. Yeah. What I needed.
If you had to pick, would you pick an actor that is more well known, has more followers, or would you go with someone that is like less known? If the talent is like in the same sort of category, how would you make that decision?
Oh man, if I had to make the decision, and I had in the studio didn't have to make the decision or like in on it, I would go with the best actor. Okay. Yeah, I would go with the best actor for the role. I kind of slightly made it. I wish I could remember the guy's name, but I know he played in a couple pretty big projects, and I think he does a lot of short films because his agent reached out and said he does like doing a lot of these type of projects. Mm-hmm. But I would go for the person who fits the role the best and who I believe can play the role the best.
So how has been your experience here networking with people, building that group of people that you go to for projects and trying to like get things produced?
I come from a city where, we networking all the time, I mean, it's a party city, but you networking, trying to get into the clubs, and you kind of learn how to network with people. So, yeah, I haven't really had a bad experience in networking with anybody in the film industry. Trying to think if I had a really bad experience. And I'm pretty good at judging characters, judging somebody's character. And I'm like, if I don't feel the energy from the jump, I don't even talk to them.
How do you deal with the filtering process? Because it's something that I'm curious about. Like, I'll go to a red carpet or a networking event or some kind of event, and you never know like how deep the person is in terms of what they're talking about. And everyone is always talking about, oh, I have this project with so-and-so and I have connection to this and this. And how do you filter that so you don't get astray or like pay too much attention to the wrong person? And also pay attention to the right person, because sometimes you might think, oh, this person, like there's nothing to them, but they could be a very good connection for doing a project down the road.
I'm very I like people's like spiritual energy. That's the first thing I pay attention to. I've always been like that since I was young. Like even before I became like a Christian or anything like that, before I followed the faith, I always had like this where it was like something's off about that person. I don't really I'm not really feeling the way they look, just their vibe. Sometimes, I don't know if you ever get that. You walk into a room where you're talking to somebody and just have a bad vibe with them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're not a bad person, but I just know the vibe is not there. The other way I do, I just talk to them and I let them talk. If they have my same interests, my same goals, I kind of like my personal goals, I kind of stray away from them. Because I know
they have the same goals.
Personal goals, yeah. So like they want to direct, they want to do certain things, and then
interesting.
I kind of stay away from them because I know I'll ask them so I might ask them a question like, so what do you want to do? And it's like, oh yeah, I want to work together, I want to do this and blah blah blah. And I'm like, but you want to be a director, and I'm a director, and because my experiences with those, regardless if their energy is good, is they say those things and then when they come to the table with the projects, they want to direct, or you're sitting down and they want to, they want to interject. They want to, they want to do what I'm doing, and they want, instead of just saying straight up, I want to work with you to see how you work. Mm-hmm. They want to do what I'm doing, and then they want, oh, can you actually DP for me, or can you actually produce for me? And it's like, no, I can't.
Interesting.
So
for me, it's the opposite. For me, if I meet a director, I want to be like as close as possible to them, because there's so few of us, so far in my experience. And this is something that I used to be like that when I was younger, because when I went to film school, like the kid in me, I wanted to be like the best director in film school. So like other directors, no, I want to beat them. Like yeah. I don't want to be their friend.
I feel you.
But then what I realized is by becoming friends with them, genuinely, dude, it's like they like the same stuff that you like.
Yeah.
They like the same lenses, the same cameras, the same interests. And what happens is they will have knowledge, access, relationships to the things that you need later down the road.
Yeah.
So I look at it more as I'm not looking into, okay, let's do a project together, but I am looking into, okay, let's be friendly. So whenever you need help or I need help, I'm going to have the contact that you need. I'm going to have an in with the actor that you're trying to get. I'm going to ask you, like, for example, a good friend of mine, Miles Matsuno, he's a great director. And him and I would spend like 2 hours on the phone talking about, like, when I was getting distribution for my feature film, how to go about it. And like just getting a second set of like eyes on a project, on a script. So that's kind of how I look at it. But I used to be like exactly like what you're saying. We're like, oh, director, huh? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Paris has opened my eyes to that as well. She's told me like, oh, well, you guys can be friends. Like I can be friends with certain people, and I have opened that eyes. But just when I was talking about specifically to like working together on projects.
Gotcha. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's what it's like. It's like, like unless I offer my services as a producer, I'm not going to DP. I'm just not.
Yeah, don't do that. I did that. I remember there was a film where I did that, and it was early on, and I wanted to help this person. He had helped me with other things, and I came on as a DP. After that, I was like, I will never DP
Again.
I'll DP my stuff. I will never DP for anyone else, because I think if you have the innate spirit of a director, when you have to go and play second trumpet to someone, it's like, shoot me now. Because like, it's very subjective. Like, you will take a script and do it your way. I will take a script and do it my way. But if you have to sit there while I'm doing it, it's torture for you.
It's torture. It's torture. It's not only that. Like, for me, I've had experiences like on set where like, and this is not me saying this, like people have told me like, and as like they've done what I'm about to say. Like, I'll be on set as a producer or just like, you know, like hanging out. Like, oh, you shooting? Let me come by and hang out. And like, the actors and people will gravitate and be like, oh, so what should I do? And they'll look at me and I'm like, yo, I'm not directing this. I don't know what you should do. You know, and you get that. And it's like, they feel that vibe that you have. Yeah. And then you're like, you know, especially like, I was producing a project and sometimes I just had to stay away from set because the actor would legitimately disrespect the director and turn towards me and say, okay, bye, so what should I do? And I'm like, oh yeah, you should do this, blah, blah, blah. And then I just like, all right, I got it. I can't really like, and then that's when I started to notice that. So that's another thing that I like, you know, like when you have that aura and you have that spirit, it's like, oh, people want to move towards the dominant person in the room, even if you're not really trying to be dominant, especially on set. And I'm a stickler for like position, you know, like if this is your position, you do it to the best of your ability and you worry about somebody else. And if we need help, then we all help each other. But if we do what we came here to do, then the project's going to come out great. You know, that's, you know, on set. That's something I learned in film school, and you know, and I was just like, this is just something I learned in film school. So,
yeah. So you mentioned about working as a DP and knowing all the angles of that. I know that you love cameras, so let's bring some camera fight into the question. Right now, I know you have the Komodo, right? So let's talk about Sony versus Red and what's happening right now with the cameras, and where do you stand over there? Because you have both, right? You have Sony and you have a Red.
Okay, Sony. I stand with Sony. Sony. My first camera was a Sony. I worked with a lot of Sonys. I still like the workflow of a Sony. I'm still getting used to the Red. I like the Red, but I feel like the Red kind of like, it's like the Red is like, you know, the Red is a very expensive camera, even though they gave you like a body that's not. And to really get the best quality out of it, you have to use the best quality of lenses. So it's just I don't know how much it costs now, but at the time it was $6,000 body. But you can't put a $200 lens on it and really think you're gonna get the best. You know, you put that $200 lens to me on a Sony and on the Red, the Sony might come out better, even if it's the AS, you know, the A7S III or something like that. Yeah. In some situations. But yeah, the way Sony does color to me is like no other camera, no other.
You love it?
I like it. Yeah, I like the way they color.
They're better now. I had the A7S II, and colors were hit or miss. I've had all of them, and I'm a huge Red fan. And now I'm like, I'm in love with Sony now because like of what they have done with the FX3.
Yeah.
I think that was the first camera that for me was like, holy smokes, like that looks amazing. I still love Red though. I still have like the inclination to go with Red. A couple months ago, I shot a project and we had a Red Epic, which I shot a lot, like a long time ago. That's a very old camera. And we had it as a B cam. I was shooting with the Komodo for the main camera, and then for the interview for this, we're doing a documentary for Paramount Plus. And we put on the Epic, dude, it looked like so cinematic. It was like hard to explain, but it has a different quality to the sensor. It's like the quality is not better, it's just different. It has like a little character to it. And I think with the FX3, you reach close to that, but it's still different. What about Canon?
Oh, no, I don't know about Canon.
No. Bye Canon.
I wouldn't pick up a Canon if somebody
really
paid me. I'm sorry, Canon. I'm just saying.
Really, I'm a huge Canon fan. For me, I have a problem. I love them all.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't worked with none of the top end Canons, but no, I'm like, to me, it's, you know, it's Red, it's Sony, it's Ari, you know, in all those different areas. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Canon camera. You know, I like their lenses. They make amazing lenses.
Yeah.
Amazing lenses. But the color and stuff that the Canons put out, and I don't know, I just don't think, I'm not a fan of it. I don't, you know, that's it.
Yeah. So how do you feel about buying versus renting for all your projects? I think we spend a lot of time, at least I spend a lot of time looking at all the cameras and like wishing I could own all of them. And then for different projects, I end up using different things. So what's your stand on that?
If the client is paying for it, rent it. But always having a camera, you can continue to put out work. You can continue to shoot, and you can continue to put out work. So having a camera that you pay for, even if you don't get paid to do productions, but you do your own stuff, it's gonna pay for itself. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so how have you been able now, like here in LA, to like make money so you can keep making films? Like, what are some like strategies, like things that you're doing to be able to like put projects together? Where do you get funding for? Like, if you can get into that a little bit without too much detail. Like, I think that's something that people don't really talk about. It's like, we need money. Like, for your short film, you spend $10K. Like, the last short film I did, all in all, I think it was like $30K. Like, it takes so much money.
it does take a lot of money.
So how do you go about finding money for your projects?
I also like get film jobs, like set jobs that I'm not directing, whether I'm working on it, you know, as a producer's assistant producer, anything that somebody can say, hey, you can come on this set and you can get paid for it. So I can do more of my projects and build my portfolio to where I want it to be. You know, I don't really take a lot of like jobs outside of that. Everything else is just investments for me, you know, to be honest, you know, from crypto to housing investments, you know, to just putting stuff in the stock market and stuff like that, and, you know, getting some returns here or there. But outside of that, I do take a lot of production jobs so I can know people, get to know people, and it's a grind, you know. So we're working 8 to 12 hours, and then I'm working on my own projects. For me personally, I took some time to work on other people's projects, but it just wasn't something that I wanted to do, because for me the creativity wasn't there for what I wanted to do. So I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna put this down. I'm not gonna do music videos no more. I'm not gonna shoot documentaries. I'm just gonna work on my film and my stuff. So I made a conscious decision to say, okay, let me call some of my film buddies. Say, hey, look, you got any openings on set that I can come on, make some money, and then shoot my own projects.
That sounds really good. So you mentioned crypto and all of that. Are you involved in NFTs at all? And that side of like crypto with NFTs and art, have you gotten into that?
Well, I created a couple NFTs, but then I was like, I don't really know how to get this stuff out here. So I just I just have like 1,000 NFTs on a hard drive, okay, on my computer, just sitting. And I haven't put it out because I haven't had an opportunity to. You know, I've seen a couple of videos here and there, but to me, it's just like, I don't know, you know, not really NFTs and stuff like that, but just trading crypto, you know, when I get an opportunity to trade it. And then, yeah, you know, and just saved up a lot of money, you know, and, you know, you bet big, you win big, you bet big, you lose big.
Yeah, NFTs have been a big bet for me this last year because we have a lot of NFTs in the studio that I work at, Impact Theory with Tom Bellew. And I got involved in that world like big time. And the first time I went to New York for the NFT NYC conference, dude, we got to go to a panel with Tarantino. So Tarantino took his script from Reservoir Dogs. And which
is a good film.
Yes. And he's turning that into NFTs.
Wow.
So you can own a piece of like even scenes that never got shot and things like that. So it was super interesting. And like, I mean, being in the same room with Tarantino, that was like one of the coolest experiences of my life.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, being in the same room with Tarantino, I was like, okay, this NFT thing is like the future.
Yeah.
So I went,
it is.
Yeah. And I went and bought more NFTs. Everything now is like down, but it has been a really cool new area of seeing film and media now mixed with technology, and it's getting mixed with everything. Like even this shirt that I'm wearing is like part of an NFT project. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going into a lot of areas of culture in general. In film, I still haven't seen something like solid, but I think in the future it's something that you could look into, because imagine that you could release an NFT of yourself, that if I buy it, then I get access to every movie that you make forever, because I'm buying that first original.
Yes, that's
something like that would be interesting.
NFTs and crypto is the future, man. And I feel like, I just feel like it's a crypto. I feel like crypto is I feel like it's the future. I feel like it's gonna be. People are gonna get stupid rich off of it continuously, man. And it's gonna continuously change the way we look at media, the way we look at currency, the way we look at film, all those certain things, So I think you're right on. I think you're right on point. Yeah. I think it's just like TikTok, like all these certain things. I feel like we got NFTs and TikTok, and we got crypto, and it's kind of on a down right now. But that's just because too many people can't be rich.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the whole economy,
market has to.
Yeah, the whole economy is going through like some crazy changes. I don't even look at it right now. So I wanted to ask you about like new projects that you might be working on. Like, what do you have cooking?
First of all, with Justify, I'm talking about new projects, but Justify Homicide. We got in our second film festival in London, so that was good. So we got 2 film festivals already under our belt. But as far as and you can also see Justified on YouTube.
Yeah.
So Justify Homicide on YouTube, you can just go check it out.
Yeah, let's touch on that, because a lot of people think that when you release the film, you go to festivals and you have to do that for like a year and then you can put it online. But in your case, you had the premiere. Like I watched it when the premiere happened on YouTube, but now you're hitting festivals too.
Yes.
So talk about that.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of festivals nowadays, they've also allowed like for it to be premiered somewhere else. I guess so they can get more content. That's the only thing I can think of. But yeah, you premiere it online. You try to get traction. It's also, like I said, try to build your portfolio, and then you put it in festivals. Not everybody's going to see it online. Not everybody's going to see it in a festival, But if your film has a message, or if it has something that or it's just your film, I think you should put it out. If you're not going to, get a deal, or some sorts. Yeah, I feel like you can continue to put it out. I feel like you put it out for free. That's my theory. I'm going to keep on putting projects out, and I'm going to keep putting them out for free until somebody says, I want to give you $1 million, to 20, 30 to do this project, and if it makes money on YouTube, and if I win awards and film festivals, that's great. But I just love the art of making film, so.
Yeah, that's my same strategy. Like I had a film that we made the film, went through festivals, spent all this money going to festivals, and I was telling the other person I was doing it with, hey, let's just put it out. Like, let's put it out. Let's not wait. And then eventually when we put it online, it took like a couple months, but then it blew up.
It blew up?
It blew up. And I need to teach you a couple tricks of things that you could do with the description and the algorithm and all that.
Please.
Because the film all of a sudden catch fire and now has like over 300,000 views.
Exactly. And then you have a fan base.
Yeah. And like people were looking at the film and like, and that thing that you said of like putting something out and like that desire to make movies, dude, that film, even though it's not my best work, is the one that I have received the most feedback from people that watch it. And like all those messages inspire me to say, okay, what I'm doing is not crazy. It's not nonsense. Like I'm actually doing something that is touching people, is making them feel something. And it pushes me to like believe in that I can keep doing this.
That's the same thing. That's the same thing that I got. Like, it's like, cause you're doing it for so long and you're not getting credit or you're not getting things. And even when you do work for people and you're directing for people, you're creating projects, you're producing for other people or other companies. It's like the satisfaction there is the money, but it's like, is this what I really want to do? And when you put something out and you get people to tell you, yo, that was great, I didn't expect you to do that. Like my brother even told me, like, I didn't expect that type of quality of film from you. I mean, it might sound like shade, but it's still like, you get that. And then I'm sitting down with people, and they're like, yo, this is amazing. They, the storylines, all these certain things that those validations that you have in yourself, but we also need it from from our peers and from the people around us. That's why awards and stuff are so like, people like, they're like, oh, I want to win this award, I want to do this thing, is because like that validation. People may say you don't need validation from anybody but God. I mean, but we're human.
Yeah, you need it, dude. You need it because like it's so hard.
Yeah, it's hard. If nobody's validating your work, you're like, what am I doing it for?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you ever feel like a failure? Like, do you ever feel like you haven't done like what you were supposed to be doing at this age, or like?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I feel like it almost every day. I have to tell myself, no. All right, let's stay focused. Let's get on the grind. Yeah, because if you ask me, Can I shoot a $200 million film right now? I 100% believe I can shoot a $200 million film. Somebody give me $200 million to shoot a film, I can do it. Without a doubt, shadow of a doubt, I believe I can do it. Justify, for me, prove that I can do it. For me personally, it proved to me that I can do it. Okay, we shot 21 minutes, 10,000. It might have been a little bit more, but that's what I can remember right now. 10,000, 21. Okay, yes, I can do it. So not being in that position, yeah, sometimes you got to get off Instagram. I got to get off these certain, because you're like, man, I could watch a film. I could do that. I could do way better than that. Yeah. All those certain things. So yeah, so you do feel like it, but keeping the right people around you. For me, having a wife that inspires me. When I'm telling her you're great, she's telling me you're great. And the people that actually trust in me. Now I have a group of people that I can call at any point. Like, yo, I'm doing this film. And like, yo, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. So let's touch on that, because I know Paris. Like, we had her on the show too. And I'm curious to know, how do you manage the whole thing of like being married to an actress? Is that actresses, like, I don't know, man. Actresses it's a difficult personality to deal with, because actors have a lot of emotion, and those emotions have to go up and down. How has that experience been for you?
I mean, she's a person first, like she's a human. Like, and I say that in like not to say that she's not an actress or anything like that, but she's a good person, and I think that's just something like she's talented in. She has the gift of beauty, so she like, that's a talent, to be a model, to be an actress, to do all the certain things. But I grew up around creative people. Most of my friends are creative. Some of my friends are actors. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
As a director, you get used to it.
You get used to it. Yeah. But sometimes I think, well, if this person was dating a regular person that doesn't understand this, they choose. It would be really difficult. They just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I think it goes both ways. Like, my same brother told me, he was like, "Yo, I'm happy you chose somebody in your profession," because he said, like, I know it'll be difficult for somebody to understand the hours, the time, the dedication, all the things that go into becoming a filmmaker, and like professionally working in this industry. So it's on both ends as far as that aspect. But yeah, I mean, Paris is great, man. She, we just be chilling for the most part. I'm very chill, so I think that kind of balances us out. Not saying she's not, but I'm extremely chill. Yeah. So like, I'm like this. Most people, like, they don't know if I'm mad or sad, and stuff like that. So that kind of balances me out. So, hey, I think it's cool. Like, I don't even see her as an actor. Like I don't even see the fact that I'm with an actor. I see her as an actor, but I don't say, like, oh yeah, I'm with an actor. I'm with somebody who's and they have emotions and they have this and that. My mom had emotions. She was like the most emotional person I ever met in my life. and I dealt with it. So it's like, like dealing with anybody else is pretty cool, And then growing up in Miami, you deal with you deal with all type of stuff, all type of things, getting pulled over, harassed by the police, harassed by people, just in general, getting picked on because you're the youngest. Mm-hmm. So all the emotional roller coasters that anybody can throw at me, I pretty much deal with.
That's cool, man. So, well, Abai, if you had anything that you could do and money's not an issue and time is not an issue, what would you do?
There's a film that I'm writing right now that I would create. I don't want to talk about it because I want people to get ideas. But I would do that. But outside of that, I'd probably go around and teach people, teach people how to live, I guess, that's a difficult question. Yeah. That's a different way to explain what I'm trying to say. I would say it's not a more difficult question, but I would I don't know. I've been so many places where you just I can't believe somebody's living like that. You know what I'm saying? In certain environments, in certain places, and experiencing people going without eating, stuff like that in our own country, not even out the country, but even in our own country. I would definitely probably be the person going around helping people out. Oh, hey, you need you need this, or I'll just I did something like that when I got food stamps when I first came here. I didn't have no money or whatever. And then once I got the money and the food stamps was, coming in for a short period of time before it ended, I would just go to the grocery store and pay for somebody's food. Just randomly, oh, I'm going to go and see a lady and she got shopping and be like, hey, I want to pay for your food, and I would just pay for her food and just, until it ran out and I don't use it anymore. But I would do stuff like that if I had no money, if money was an issue and time was an issue. I love going around feeding the homeless. My boy Pierre, he feeds the homeless every Tuesday in Skid Row. So on Fifth in Town, Skid Row, 5th in Town every Tuesday, 11 to 1 o'clock. So if anybody's around, he does it every Tuesday. So I would do that, just really just give back as much as I could, to be honest. Because I look back at my life and I see that, at the time I didn't know it was lack, but now I look back and see it's lack, and being in the situation I was in, living out here and having, my family would have helped me out, but just having not having the situation where people, I would just I would do that, man. I would do that. I would build a course for people, for young Black filmmakers, young Hispanic filmmakers, young Asian filmmakers, all the minority filmmakers who don't really have that opportunity, and African filmmakers, and build a course for them so they can just learn how to do it, stuff like that. Yeah, those are things I would do if I had the money and time wasn't an issue outside of making films.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to seeing more of your films. Mm-hmm. And thank you guys for watching this episode. If you like this interview, please check out this other interview with actress Paris Dunbar. She's actually Abai's wife. She's an amazing actress and person. And I think you're going to like that interview a lot. Thank you again for watching. I hope you like and subscribe.